It is done. I have ventured throughout the far reaches of the Reach to the frozen lands of Winterhold. With each region I've journeyed to, I've endured legendary battles and slain epic foes. Though my journeys were perilous, I gained more than the strength to beat my foes. Now I have the knowledge of these enemies to pass along to you, my dear fellow wizards. Now please sit back, conjure some sweet rolls and cheese, and join me for Skyrim's top 16 most powerful bosses ranked. Before we begin, please comment down below which bosses you believe made the top 5. We will see if your divination spells are up to snuff. Thank you to all who cast their votes for this ranking. Now without further ado, sit back and relax, and let's get into it. Number 16. Hevnorak. Before his undeath, Hevnorak was a powerful dragon priest who built an army of enthralled followers using magic to control their minds. His cruelty was well regarded, and he wielded that reputation to keep his followers in line. Even now, in death, they serve him by guarding the catacombs of his tomb, Valthum. Hevnorak obsessively planned his resurrection. He went so far as to drain his blood and put it inside 3 vessels kept within his tomb. He planned to transfer the power within his blood back into him, granting him immense magical strength. However, like most evil plots, there is a hero, and his name is Valdar. The crazy Nord warrior locked himself inside Valthum, binding him to Hevnorak in the hopes of preventing his reawakening. And he managed just that, and his ghost still guards the tomb of Hevnorak, keeping the dragon priest from ever returning. Talk about badass. Hevnorak can be encountered during the Evil in Waiting quest, and once you're inside his tomb, you'll encounter the ghost of Valdar. He will task you with finding 3 vessels required to face Hevnorak. But do be careful, for each vessel is guarded by traps and dangerous foes. But your wizard made light work of them, and with the vessels in hand, it's time to face Hevnorak. So pour out their contents, sit your ass down on the throne, and let Valdar do his thing. Hevnorak casts powerful lightning spells and summons Storm Atronachs. In addition to that, he has a lightning cloak and casts ebony flesh, mitigating physical damage. And make sure to avoid his wall of storms, which he likes to spam on the ground too. But to make light work of this lich, a bow will come in handy, and with a few well-placed shots, he will quickly turn to ash. Upon defeat, don't forget to loot his mask along with his staff. Before we continue on with our ranking, there's a good chance if you're watching this video that you relish a good boss fight. And if you're like me, then top-notch graphics and deep tactical gameplay are much appreciated too. If that sounds a bit like you, then Raid Shadow Legends, the free-to-play mobile RPG, might just be worth your shot. Especially since Raid and Monster Hunter are colliding their worlds in an amazing limited time crossover, which ends on March the 5th. So from now up until then, you can snatch 5 Monster Hunter themed legendary champions based on iconic Monster Hunter monsters, including Rathalos, Zinogre, Alatreon, Fatalis, and Ruina Nergigante. And my personal favourite has gotta be Alatreon for his purple and gold dragon scale robes. Who would have guessed it? And you can get the Rathalos Blademaster legendary champion for free, simply by logging into Raid for 7 days between now and March the 5th, as well as the other 4 Monster Hunter themed champions via special in-game events. So be sure to check in-game to see how you can collect them all. But these 5 champions are just a drop in the ocean to the other 800 plus unique champions up for grabs, and with new updates, champions and bosses being added every single month, there's never a dull moment. In fact, the Cursed City, one of Raid's biggest features to date, was added in a recent update and has over 100 stages to complete. And in some of those stages, you've got to take on 2 bosses at the same time. So if you're up for the challenge, download Raid now by scanning the QR code on the screen or by clicking the link in the description to get some insane bonuses. You'll immediately receive 500,000 silver, energy and chicken just by using my link. So when you get in game, come find me under the Welsh Wizard, join my clan at TWW5 and let's slay some bosses. Number 15. Malyn Varen. Truly a tragic tale. Malin Varen is a Dunmer mage and a former professor from the College of Winterhold, a researcher of soul gems and the properties of soul magic. His research particularly focused on Azura's Star, a powerful Daedric artifact. But little did anyone know that his research had a secret agenda. For you see, Malin was dying from an illness and sought immortality through sealing his soul within Azura's Star. Though the one major problem was that Malin's soul was black and Azura's Star could only accept white souls. Frustrated but determined, Malin became obsessed, and Azura cursed him for his transgressions against her artifact. He began seeing things, shouting at his students for things they hadn't done. This culminated in him killing a student and using her soul for his dark research. For his actions, he was fired from his position as a professor and kicked out of the college. He retreated to the ruins of Ilanalta's Deep, with students who remained loyal to him, where he was free to continue his work. And sooner or later, Malin was successful, modifying Azura's Star and sealing his soul within. However, it was not without great cost, as the artifact was damaged, now requiring a constant supply of black souls to keep it from shattering and thus keep him alive, something his loyal followers are all too happy to supply. Malin Varen can be encountered at the end of the Black Star questline. After battling through Ilanalta's deluge, you can find his corpse resting upon his throne. Next to him, his grimoire and the now damaged Azura's Star. Upon collecting the artifact, you have to make an important decision. Either take the artifact to Azura herself and repair it, or bring it to Nelacar and turn the Daedric artifact into the Black Star. Whichever choice you make, however, will require you to trap your own soul, to purge the star of Malin's existence in order to repair it. But once inside this beauty, Malin will be waiting for you, eager to devour the new soul that's entered his domain. But he will quickly realize that something's up, and like the coward he is, will run away. In his flight, he will send Aurora to take you out, and their stats will vary depending on your level. And these guys are never a walk in the park, and the star's interior offers little to no hiding spaces, making stealth builds less than ideal for once in Skyrim. That said, it's impossible to fall off any ledges, so that's one less thing to worry about. And don't forget to take their hearts once you've slain them, as they're very rare. As you'd expect from a former college professor, Malin knows a thing or two about spells, and Oak Flesh, Stone Flesh, Chain Lightning, Lightning Bolt, and Ice Spike, including some restoration spells, are his go-to. So any wizard planning on battling him should be sure to boost their magic resistance, as there are many mages during this boss fight. But despite all the flash, Malin's got no substance, and you can turn his Jamora against him with a frenzy spell. On his lifeless corpse, you can find some basic apparel, an iron dagger, and a destruction staff. So well worth the trip. No, but it actually is, because when you get pulled from the star, you will receive your reward. And FYI, the Black Star is miles better. For a full explanation, be sure to check out my ranking on the top 10 Daedric artifacts. Number 14. Reaper. Little is known about this mysterious and shadowy figure. The Reaper is a spectral warrior that looks like an executioner with glowing eyes and a transparent body. Its visage is sure to send any unprepared wizard running for the hills. But we wizards don't back down without a fight, and to face the Reaper and your fears, you must find a set of 3 Reaper gem fragments scattered in chests around the Soul Cairn. And once placed at the altar within the Reaper's lair, the Reaper as well as several bone men will be summoned to attack you. The Reaper himself uses an iron battle axe, as well as a spitting attack, which is peculiarly very similar to the vomit attack that the Afflicted uses. So could it be that perhaps the Reaper was a Daedric minion to Periite, who was bound to the Ideal Masters? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. So if you're familiar with the Afflicted, be sure to avoid that spitting attack, and take the bone men down first before facing the Reaper. But despite its creepy appearance, it's sure to be a quick fight, and upon death, 3 black soul gems and a Daedric heart may be looted from its remains, further hinting at a potentially dark Daedric origin. The following 3 entries are bound together in more than just difficulty and memorability, but also in brotherhood. The Galderson brothers, Mirele, Sigdis and Juric, conspired against and murdered their father, Galder, taking his amulet, the source of his power, for themselves. With this power, they raided and laid waste to the nearby villages until a powerful archmage named Gaiamund slew them and entombed them, hoping to put their terror to an end. Number 13. Mirele Galderson. The youngest of the three brothers, Mirele was defeated and entombed within Gunther, a Nordic ruin in Hjalmarch, southeast of Solitude. When you approach Mirele's tomb, he will burst out of his coffin. Followed by 4 Draugr with apparently no weapons, Mirele attacks using the spells Frostcloak and Frostbite, as well as the Galder Blackblade, a leveled one-handed sword with an Absorb Health enchantment. When the battle begins, focus your attention on Mirele, as his Draugr minions will only do minor damage. From there, combative healing spells like Stendar's Aura will be effective against him as he's undead. Mirele's level also scales to match your own, so be prepared with health and frost resistance potions. Once you've slain Mirele and his Draugr minions, be sure to loot his body for the Galder Blackblade, the sealing writ that is important to his and his brother's quest, and most importantly, his powerful amulet which increases your health by a hefty 30 points. Afterwards, put the Ivory Claw to use on the southern wall to give you access to a level chest and the word wall for the Frost Breath shout. Number 12. Juric Galderson. The oldest of the 3 brothers, Juric was chased to Sarthal by Archmage Gaiamund and sealed away within, in retaliation for the havoc wreaked upon the nearby settlements. And Sarthal can only be accessed as part of the College of Winterhold questline, but you should already know that since you're a wizard. Your professor, Tolfdir, will take you on a field trip where you will both become separated from the rest of your class. After moving through the dungeon together, you will enter a room with a large glowing orb flowing at the center. This orb is the Eye of Magnus, a powerful relic important to the College of Winterhold questline. But as you approach, Juric Galderson will rise from his throne and attack you. And Tolfdir will try to lend you aid by attacking the Draugr before realizing that the Eye of Magnus is making Juric invulnerable. Tolfdir then tasks you with keeping the undead foe busy whilst he drains the eye. But this only takes a couple of seconds to transpire, so it's wise to avoid combat rather than wasting your precious resources. As the eye is drained of its power, Juric becomes vulnerable once more. However, be wary, as he is not defenseless. Juric has one unique defense up his sleeve, a rotating shield that varies between 3 different elements. The best strategy is to attack him with magic or enchanted weapons that correspond with his shield's weakness, because he will be immune to any attack that matches his shield. So be sure to keep an eye out on the color of his shields and attack accordingly. Once Juric has fallen, his corpse can be looted for his shard of the amulet, granting 30 points of magicka, as well as his writ of sealing. In the room also is the staff of Juric Galderson, and through the western door you can find a level chest and a word wall for the ice form shout. Number 11. Sigdis Galderson. Last of the 3 brothers to die, Sigdis managed to slay the Archmage who killed his brothers after their savaging of the surrounding villages. He was entombed within Gaiamund's Hall, named after the Archmage who slew his brothers. As you enter the room where Sigdis lies, be sure to make note of the platforms and their paths, because once you approach his coffin, Sigdis will break out and immediately teleport to one of the 3 pedestals in the room. 2 illusions of him will also appear on the remaining platforms, so be careful not to kill his doppelgangers, as Sigdis will simply teleport away and create new illusions. But an easy way to tell the difference between the real Sigdis and his illusions is to note that the real Sigdis doesn't glow blue, while his illusions do. Getting too close to Sigdis will result in him trying to strike you, before teleporting away and summoning new illusions. This makes it pretty difficult for melee warriors to land a hit, but range builds can quickly climb atop platforms to pick him off. Once you've brought down the duplicating Draugr, be sure to loot his corpse for the 3rd and final fragment of his father's amulet, granting the wearer 30 points to stamina, as well as his bow, the Galder Blackbow, and his writ of sealing. Behind his coffin is a treasure room which contains a leveled chest, a 2-handed skill book, as well as some potions and soul gems. Did you forget about the family reunion? That's right, after defeating all 3 brothers, you will be tasked with reforging the broken amulet, which requires that you travel to Reachwater Rock, where you must face off against the spirits of the brothers for the final time. But not all at the same time, thankfully. Mirele appears first, along with an army of Draugr. Once you've defeated all of the foes before you, Sigdis will appear, reusing his illusions trick. Lastly is Jurek, who will teleport himself around and summon Daedric enemies to assist him. But once you've defeated him, the ghost of their father will appear, blowing them away and reforging the amulet pieces into one full amulet that gives 30 in health, stamina, and magicka. Be sure to loot the skeleton remains of Golda for some gold too, and then on your way out you will find a leveled chest, completing the tragic tale of the murderous brothers. Number 10. Alduin, the World Eater. Perhaps the most famous boss on this list, Alduin is Skyrim's primary antagonist. Being foretold to be the bringer of end times and devourer of the world, he's returned from his banishment through time to wreak havoc among the world of men and mer. And he's so powerful that you have to battle him not once but twice during the events of the main quest. However, today we are specifically talking about the first time you face him in battle alongside your scaly ally, the mighty Party Snacks. During the quest, Alduin's Bane, after witnessing a battle in the past upon the throat of the world, you will be attacked by Alduin. But unfortunately for him, you just finished learning the Dragon Rend shout and can use it to weaken him. The World Eater has a 50% resistance to fire and a 25% weakness to frost. So using frost weapons once you've brought him down with Dragon Rend is a surefire way to go. Alduin also has a passive perk exclusive to him that renders him invulnerable unless subjected to Dragon Rend. So be sure to keep spamming your mighty Thum on him during the fight. Like all dragons, Alduin can use shouts to attack their foes, and knows Fire Breath, Frost Breath, Unrelenting Force, and the Dragon Stormcall shout, which is unique to him, and causes fiery meteors to rain from the sky. But despite being the highest level dragon in all of Skyrim, Alduin will make a short speech once he's defeated, then fly off like the coward he is. Number 9. Azidal. Meaning bitter destroyer in the dragon tongue, Azidal was the first enchanter of the Nord people, and likely the first to master the elven methods of enchantment. Believed to have been born in Sarthor around the Merethic era, he displayed an incredible talent in magic. So good in fact that he decided to leave home to learn the art of enchanting from the elves. But upon his return, he found his home destroyed by them. This led to him adopting the name Azidal, and he aided Ysgramor in slaughtering the elves who destroyed his home. Still not satisfied, however, he soon pursued even more knowledge, becoming a high dragon priest and receiving a powerful ebony mask. His quest led him to seek out the Daedric princes, causing him to swirl into madness and become exiled from his order. He soon became a follower of Miraak, and after Miraak's fall, he was sealed within Kolbjorn Barrow with his many powerful relics. And today, you can encounter Azidal at the end of the quest Unearthed, where you have to cough up a whopping 11,000 septims in order to excavate the barrow. Yep, that Dunmeralis will milk you dry, but fear not, because during the quest you can attain the Boots of Waterwalking, the Ring of Necromancy, the Gauntlets of Warding, and the Ring of Arcana, which are sure to make up for it. You will have to visit the tomb 4 times, and upon the 4th visit you will finally battle Azidal, as well as collect his armor of Retribution and Helm of Vision. So be sure to bring lots of fire-resistant potions, as Azidal loves to bring the heat. He's even got an exclusive fire spell called Firestream, which deals 100 points of health damage. And that's not all you should worry about, as he's also immune to paralysis, and can resist poison up to 100 points. Once you've slain the Dragon Priest, be sure to take his mask, which grants a 50% resistance to fire, as well as a 25% increase in fire damage. Number 8. The Forge Master. Guardian to the Ethereum Forge, the Forge Master is a powerful dwarven centurion that is considerably larger than most centurions. It can be encountered during the quest Lost to the Ages. After disabling the boiling hot jets of steam, dwarven spiders and spheres will jump out from the many tubes to attack you, and halfway through the fight, the steam will turn back on, drastically limiting the space in which you can fight. So your priority should really be to go and shut off the steam again, or face third-degree burns. Once you've defeated the remaining enemies, a loud rumble can be heard as the Forge Master surfaces from the lava. It will immediately spray lava at you, similarly to a dragon's fire, and charge towards you. So beware of lingering fire on the ground, as getting caught in it can mean a quick death for an unprepared wizard. A well-prepared wizard should stock up on fire resistance and health potions, and it's probably wise to bring a follower along to divert the Forge Master's attention while fighting it. But don't tell them that. However, be careful with who you choose, as a melee follower may rush into the lava to get to the Forge Master before it fully emerges, killing them nearly instantly. Once you've defeated the Forge Master, you are now free to craft one of 3 relics from the Ethereum Forge, and whichever you choose, it's sure to be a worthy reward for such an epic battle. Number 7. Lord Harkon. Once a tyrant in the lands of Skyrim, Harkon turned to the Daedric prince Molag Bal to escape death. Sacrificing 1,000 innocents in tribute to the Lord of Domination, Harkon was granted immortality in the form of becoming a pure-blooded vampire. But despite his newfound powers and immortality, he still felt held back. He discovered a prophecy called the Tyranny of the Sun, which he soon became obsessed with. His obsession led to his wife and daughter fleeing from him in order to prevent the prophecy from coming to pass. Lord Harkon can be encountered during the Dawnguard questline. He's the primary antagonist, and regardless of whether you side with the Dawnguard or the vampires, it all culminates in you facing off against this master vampire alongside his daughter, Serana. When battle begins, Harkon will assume his vampire lord form and immediately summons skeletons and gargoyles. While his summoned minions attack you, he will use his vampiric drain spell, boosted by his ring, to absorb your health, magicka and stamina for 5 points per second. But occasionally he'll stop levitating to use his claws, but not for long. He also has the ability to turn into his mist form when his health is low, as well as turn invisible for a short time to catch a breather. And when Harkon's health lowers to a point, he will transform into a swarm of bats, teleporting over to the blood altar in the room, healing himself significantly as he drains the power of the altar. As he does, Harkon will create an impregnable shield with blood until his health reaches full. But to prevent this from happening, you can pierce the barrier with an arrow from Auriel's bow, forcing him back into the battle. In addition to his batshit crazy healing, he can also resist both poison and disease up to 100 points. And since he's undead, he benefits from a 50% resistance to frost. However, he is 50% weaker to fire because of it. So be sure to bring the heat. His necklace provides a 17% resistance to magic, which is complemented by his armor, granting him a 125% boost to his magicka regeneration rate. And being undead, you'd think some undead turning spells would do the trick, but he's far too strong for that, and is also immune to paralysis and fear effects from the likes of the Ethereal Shield and the Wabbajack. Despite this, a great way to cheese this encounter is to obtain a Scroll of Firestorm and use it on him before he can initiate a conversation with you. Before you do this though, you should make sure to unlock the Intense Flames perk, equip Azidal's mask, and drink a Filter of Destruction before the fight. In doing this, you should be powerful enough to defeat him before he has a chance to heal himself. And once he is defeated, he will explode into a cloud of bats and rematerialize by the blood altar, giving a cry of anger at his daughter before crumbling to dust. From there, you can loot his ashes for your hard-earned loot. Number 6. Croesus. Like many of the dragon priests of times long past, little is known about Croesus. Like his fellow priests, he secured lichdom, but not perhaps through traditional means, as no Draugr servants worship him. Nevertheless, he still wears a unique dragon priest mask that grants him special abilities and enhancements. It's unknown what his role was in the Dragon War, however, he eventually became entombed at Sheer Point, a mountain peak in the Pale. Meaning sorrow in the language of the Dover, this dragon priest is a formidable foe and is also guarded by a dragon. So it's best to defeat the winged beast first before approaching the word wall, otherwise you'll have two to contend with. But it's worth noting that if you visit Sheer Point before completing the quest Dragon Rising, the dragon will not be present, just leaving you to face Croesus. But do make sure you're of a decent level, as Croesus is level 50 and wields powerful ice magic, which he complements with his staff of fireballs. His mask also fortifies lockpicking, archery and alchemy, but that won't help this mage in a fight against your wizard. Number 5. The Frost Troll of High Hrothgar. Trolls are known for their powerful physical attacks and their rapid, and to the wandering wizard, annoying regenerative health abilities. One such troll can be encountered on the 7,000 steps to High Hrothgar during the main quest line as you journey to meet the Greybeards. And it is no joke, especially if you're new to Skyrim, as you're likely unprepared and undergeared for this fight, making it extremely challenging early on. The first time I saw the troll on the way to see the Greybeards, it was standing in the middle of the road, and my dumbass thought he was a Greybeard since it was all grey and shaggy who came to greet me. Let's just say the troll ate well that day. An easy mistake there from Charles, I think. Troll's regenerative ability can be hindered by using fire-based attacks or by using long-lasting potions. This effect doesn't last long, however, so you'll need to strike quickly. And it's also wise to avoid hit-and-run tactics, as it gives the troll time to regenerate, thus negating your previous damage. But a sound strategy, in addition to lighting them up, is to make use of paralysis effects, as it prevents them from attacking you with their powerful swings, and it takes a long time for them to stand back up. But regrettably, the troll drops no noteworthy loot, only leaving troll fat, and something else if you're lucky. So beware, fellow wizards, for the 7,000 steps are not as easy as they seem. Number 4. Miraak. Known as the first Dragonborn, Miraak was a dragon priest during the Merethic era. He ruled over Solstheim and was the leader of the dragon cult. Seeking power, Miraak made a deal with Hermaeus Mora, becoming the prince's champion. But his actions led to him betraying and killing many dragons, as well as leaving the Nords to fight their own battle during the Dragon War. A duel with Valok the Jailer led to Miraak's temple being destroyed, and Miraak fleeing to Apocrypha, where he stayed until the events of the Dragonborn expansion. Miraak can be encountered during the main events of your adventures on Solstheim, and you battle him in Apocrypha at the end of the quest at the summit of Apocrypha. Miraak specializes primarily in destruction magic and uses several devastating spells. And as the first Dragonborn, Miraak also has access to many shouts, so make sure to have your wits about you. You may start the battle with Miraak in one of two ways, either on foot or upon the back of the mighty Sarotar. Be careful, however, as Miraak's minion dragons will also try to attack you. As his health is diminished, Miraak will absorb the souls of his dragons one by one. First, Kruzikrel, then Relonikiv. Lastly, he will sacrifice Sarotar as well, killing your dragon ally. Once all three dragons have died, you are free to finally defeat Miraak. But once he has been beaten down to low health, he will attempt to escape. But as he does so, Hermaeus Mora will appear. Claiming that Miraak can hide nothing from him in his realm, Hermaeus Mora will then impale Miraak on a tentacle, claiming he has found a new Dragonborn to serve him. For besting Miraak, you'll receive at least 6 dragon souls, including the ones that Miraak stole from you. And on his corpse you'll find his powerful enchanted gear and weapons. You can also loot the nearby dragons who fell during the battle for some leveled loot too. And finally, reading the black book on the pedestal will give you the ability to reset any of your skill trees and return the perk points you invested in them back to you. Truly a memorable battle for the first and last Dragonborn. Number 3. Voslarum and Narslarum. Found in the Forgotten Vale as part of the Dawnguard expansion, the twin dragons Voslarum and Narslarum, meaning Claw Water Twin and Tooth Water Twin, can be found swimming under the frozen lake near the Portal of Resolution. When approached, they will burst through the ice and attack you. While they are level scale dragons, they both use the Drain Vitality Shout, which can be lethal when facing two dragons at once. So be sure to bring lots of potions and maybe some friends to help even the odds. But what's worse is that they will occasionally dive underwater and resurface, creating large gaps in the lake. And if you're playing on survival mode, falling into that frigid water is a sure way to Sovngarde. They guard the Word Wall for Drain Vitality, and once the twins have been defeated, you may absorb their souls and loot their bodies, as well as the chest beside the Word Wall. And don't forget about the 3 chests submerged under the lake, which Volsung's mask will prove useful. Unless you're a lizard boy, of course, or a lizard girl. Number 2. Karstag. Hailing from the land of Solstheim off the coast of Skyrim and Vardenfell, Karstag was a frost giant that resided in the castle bearing his same name. But back in the Third Era, he was slain by the Nerevarine during the events of the Blood Moon Prophecy. However, his ghost can be summoned and slain by your wizard, granting you the ability to summon him to your aid 3 times. And Karstag is an incredibly difficult foe. He summons 3 ice wraiths as a means of distraction, so that he can use his mighty club to bludgeon your health away quickly. In addition to that, a blizzard surrounds him, causing you and your allies to potentially ragdoll. Thankfully, the blizzard dissipates after a short time though. However, he's then left with a permanent frost cloak which damages any who get within melee range of him. And if you're playing in survival mode, the frost cloak will damage you significantly more due to the cold effect. So hot food and resist frost effects are a must. In addition to these combat boosts, Karstag is completely immune to disease, poison, and frost. He's also immune to being ragdolled, with the exception of werewolves or werebears, and cannot be paralyzed. Maroon's Razor, Mora's Grasp, Whirlwind Cloak, and the Wabberjack are all useless against him as well, and his one weakness is a 25% weakness to fire. So if you do find a way to damage him, you must be quick, as he regenerates about 12 health points per second, making him a truly devastating beast. But fear not, my dear wizards, because being a ghost means that Karstag is vulnerable to restoration spells which harm the undead. So Stendarr's Aura is a great choice. But the best way to take on Karstag is from a safe distance with fire-based attacks. And it's possible to move up a stack of ice near the far end of the throne room, where you can pepper him with arrows and slay him without being in the line of his dangerous club attacks. Once you've slain this terrible foe and have gained the ability to summon his spirit by your side, you may also loot his remains, where you'll find 10 ectoplasms, some soul gems, as well as absolute bragging rights. And finally, at number 1, we have the Ebony Warrior. A mysterious figure, the Ebony Warrior is a knight clad in ebony armor. Little is known of him, only that he seeks you out for a challenge, claiming he's done it all and only you can grant him a release to Sovngarde, as no one else can best him in combat. To start the encounter, you'll first have to earn the Ebony Warrior's respect, which requires you to reach level 80. And when he finally approaches you, he'll bid you to come to his last vigil, a camp found on the slopes of the Velothi Mountains. Once you find him, he does nothing until you provoke him, thankfully, and once you do, the battle will be a difficult one. Sporting a full set of enchanted ebony armor, as well as spells and shouts, the Ebony Warrior has the odds stacked in his favor for the unprepared wizard. So be wary of your legendary weapons flying from your hands. One must also be careful when trying to use abilities against the Ebony Warrior, as he is immune to all forms of paralysis. Vampire Lords are out of luck as well, as he shrugs off the Vampiric Grip perk like it's nothing. However, a werewolf's power attack or a shield bash will stagger him. The Ice Form and Bend Will shouts will have no effect on him either, as he is far too formidable for such shouts.
I am the Ebony Warrior.
And while the Cyclone shout will not throw him, he will still take damage. As for Daedric artifacts, the Wabberjack will have no effect. However, Maroon's Razor effect does indeed work. But attacking him head on would be unwise, as his Reflect Blows perk can result in the damage being reflected back, killing you instantly. A wiser choice instead would be to use a powerful bow which doesn't trigger this perk, mixing it with a strong fortify archery potion and you're hitting the mark. But do take care while firing your shots, as the Ebony Warrior is one of the tallest NPCs in the game, scaled up by 1.25 times and thus has a faster walk and run speed. Additionally, shots aimed at his head will pass right through due to his hitbox ending at his shoulders. But what about magic, you ask? Well, most wizards are out of luck, I'm afraid, for mixed with his armor enchantments, his elemental resistance perks make him essentially immune to spell damage. So it's best to save your magicka for healing spells, as you'll certainly need them. Despite his many resistances though, he is not immune to poison damage, only 15% resistant. So if you happen to be proficient in pickpocketing, planting some poisonous potions on him can be deadly. Upon defeating this most legendary foe, you can loot his powerful enchanted gear, including some rare treasures, rounding out this tremendous ranking, and finally drawing it to a close. Thank you all for your contributions and your continued support throughout this series. This is definitely the hardest ranking I've done to date, but just seeing your appreciation in the comments gave me the motivation I needed. So cheers to you, wizards. And finally, don't forget to use my Raid Shadow Legends link in the description, or scan my QR code for those insane bonuses. Thanks for watching, wizards, for this has been the Welsh Wizard, and I shall see you all in the next one.